And I did try the meat and it's so good. It's so good. Hey guys, Lexi here, and well, here I am with another recipe for you guys that you guys can cook. It's another stew, and this is actually my sister's recipe, her Stifado recipe. I tried making it last week, but I completely messed up the recipe. Even though I messed it up, it still came out really, really good, and I thought, you know what? I need to share this recipe with people. So here I am. I'm gonna try to do it again without messing it up, which I can't make any guarantees. So here is what you're gonna need. I'm gonna go ahead and read my sister's recipe off for you guys. She said she's perfected this recipe, and let me tell you, so far what I've tasted, even though I messed up the recipe, it is amazing. And this is another good stew to make and keep in the fridge. It's very hearty. It's supposed to be during the winter time, and I know we're coming like spring, summer, but I just feel like right now, this is cooking these meals in bulk are just, for me, super easy. I love to do that because then I can just keep it in the fridge or the freezer, and Hunter can kind of just serve himself, and it just lightens my load. Even though Hunter is slowly starting to cook, you know, it's still nice to have food on hand when you're like involved in something else and you don't really have time to cook a meal. So here is what you're gonna need for Ellie's Stifado. This is also a long stew. It's not as easy as the lentil soup, and it's not as cheap as the lentil soup, which I feel like goes perfectly hand in hand with my sister. So here's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need 2 to 3 pounds of lean beef or lamb, and her note says, highly recommend lamb. I just think that's for more of like a tender meat. I used beef the last time, it was still delicious, but this time I have my 2 to 3 pounds of meat right there, of lamb. I have lamb right here. And then you're gonna need 2 pounds of pearl onions. She recommends the white pearl onions. I used the red onions last time, but this time I'm doing half and half because I love red onions, so I'm doing both red and white pearl onions. And then you're gonna need 1 can of diced tomatoes with garlic, basil, and oregano, 4 tablespoons of butter, 2 cloves of garlic minced, 2 bay leaves, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 3 to 4 dashes of cinnamon, and salt and pepper to taste. Oh, and a can of tomato paste. So diced tomatoes and tomato paste. Let me go get those. Here is my can of tomato paste. Here is my can of diced tomatoes. I didn't get it with garlic and bay leaves and oregano like she had put here, but I did diced tomatoes, which good enough. Oh, chicken broth. She also recommends chicken broth. It's not on here, Ellie. It's not on your list. Oh, here comes Hunter. Instead of water, use chicken broth, so I'm using chicken broth. She says that's like the secret ingredient. It's not so secret anymore. Hunter and I are drinking a glass of red wine, but here we are. Drinking and cooking during quarantine.
Here we are.
Is that better?
I like being the no-head man that's here cooking. Is it Hunter? Are you sure it's me?
Okay, so Hunter's gonna start. The hardest part about this whole stew is these
I don't remember these white ones. What did we do
pearl
with the white
onions, because you're supposed to make them with white, but we made them with red. I thought I'd do half and half because I love the red onions.
The red onions were so good.
So he's gonna cut the pearl onions, pretty much take...
You're helping with this, right? Oh man, she put me on the dishes. She put me on the dishes. Oh, the overcooked dishes.
And we play this game called Overcooked where you like chop and make meals and all sorts of
You
stuff.
give the worst task
To the worst person in the kitchen. You should just do the dishes.
How do you do this white one? Oh, it's different.
Same. And then you just take off the... Be careful.
I don't trust this.
Here, like this.
Oh my god, I can't do this without you. You have to do this with me.
Okay, we're gonna do the onions real quick and then I'll get back to you guys. BRB.
Thank you.
Okay, so we finished getting our pearl onions nice and cut. They're ready to go. All the skin is off and we cut off little ends. Now, Hunter's working on mincing the garlic into little chunks over here. He's doing such a good job. He's a great sous chef cooking with Hunter. And now I'm gonna go ahead and take 6 tablespoons of butter, which is this little guy right here. It measures it on the pack for me. And I'm gonna take my 1-inch cubed lamb meat and brown it in, it says a casserole dish, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it in a stew pot because it's eventually all gonna be a stew. So I'm not gonna dirty more dishes. So I'm gonna take you guys over there. We're gonna go ahead and do that while Hunter finishes up the garlic. Hunter got majorly sidetracked.
What do you mean I got majorly sidetracked?
You just left the bubbly out.
Oh, I did get sidetracked. By the way, I did most of the onions.
He did do most of the onions. You should feel really good about yourself. But guess what? I do most of the cooking, so.
You're the head chef. The head chef doesn't.
Yeah, can you please just start referring to me as chef, please? All right, so we are. Go ahead and put you guys up here. Our house is a mess, so don't even look at it. Don't even look at it. I'll go here. All right, so I've got my pot. This looks great. Put it on medium high. Let me get my butter. All right, so I used a dirty knife, so it's got a little red on it from the onion, but that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here so it gets all in there. I'm not a real chef until I've got one of these on my back, you know? And you're not a real Greek chef unless you've got yourself a wooden spoon. All right, so my butter is melting. Like I said, this is a great dish to cook while you're having a glass of wine. You can cook it early in the morning because it takes forever to cook. We're gonna eat at midnight, but that's okay. I'm just kidding. We're gonna probably eat around 8.
Do I have another task? Or am I good?
You're good. You're a great chef, thank you. Great sous chef. I'm gonna get my wine. Tonight I'm drinking Prisoner. Goes great with the lamb. We're having a lot of lamb this weekend. I'm also doing a Greek Easter this weekend with just Hunter and I. Maybe I'll do another cooking video on that. Tons of cooking videos. All right, this is what this looks like. Nothing like the smell of melted butter, you know what I mean? It smells so good. So I just turned down the fire to a medium. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the meat in. I'm gonna do this with my hand. It's about 3 pounds of meat here, guys. Got a big fella to feed. Oh my gosh, this might be more than 3 pounds, honestly. Now I know why you put it in the casserole dish, because it's easier to brown all the meats. Well, lesson learned. I never claimed to be a Greek yaya, so, you know, I'll try my best. Put up the heat again to medium high. Try to get all the meats browned and like just coated in the butter. Lamb cooks really fast. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that browned, guys, and then I'll see you when it's browned. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add, next over medium heat, add jar of tomato paste, diced tomatoes, 2 cloves of minced garlic, 2 bay leaves, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground pepper. Okay, let me go ahead and add all that. Tomato paste, going in. I'm gonna put this in the sink so I can wash it out so I can recycle it. Then I'm gonna go ahead and stir in the tomato paste real quick. It's looking good, it's looking good. First I'm gonna put this on a medium heat. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add in the diced tomatoes. Diced tomatoes. Right, what's next? 2 cloves of minced garlic. Hunter did that for us earlier. Got them right here. 2 cloves minced garlic. Go ahead and stir that up a little bit. Let me tell you guys, bay leaves have been so hard to find lately. I'm so excited. I have like the wine teeth. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put in 2 bay leaves. 2, all right. So 2 tablespoons, 1, 2. Go ahead and stir this all in together. Now, my sister's a really good cook, so when she sends me a recipe and she says she's perfected it, she's a good cook and she's a perfectionist, then I know it's gotta be a good one. I'm very excited for this, and even the one I messed up was still c'est magnifique. It already smells so good. Make sure I dig deep so all the meats get all the deliciousness. Then, half a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground pepper. Okay, they don't actually have teaspoons and stuff here, so I'm just gonna like eyeball it. By eyeball it, I'm just gonna put that much in and hope for the best. But you guys have the real stuff. All right, let me stir that all in together. Oh man, this already looks delicious. I'm like not even kidding you guys. This is gonna be delicious. Okay. So after the salt and pepper, add chicken broth to cover, bring to a boil, then simmer. To cover the whole thing, and that covered the whole thing. Go ahead and stir that around a little bit, make sure it's fully covered, and you bring it to a boil. Just raise the heat a little bit. All right, so my soup has come to a boil. I'm gonna put it on a simmer now. Simmer down now, soup, simmer down. Okay, putting it to a simmer. And then she says to add 1 tablespoon of sugar and a couple of dashes of cinnamon and continue to simmer for 2 or 3 hours until meat is tender. So I'm gonna get the sugar, 1 tablespoon of sugar. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. The medicine go ahead and add a couple of dashes of cinnamon. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm gonna go ahead and stir that in. It's gonna be so bomb. I can already feel it, I can already smell it. All right, and then she says just let it simmer for 2 to 3 hours. I'm just making sure I got every nook and cranny of the meat in here. Okay, I'm just gonna let it simmer now for 2 to 3 hours. I'm gonna check back on it in an hour, so I'll see you guys. All right guys, so the meat has definitely tendered a lot, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the onions in. And then once the onions are soft, I'm gonna go ahead and plate it. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right guys, so the soup is done. The onions are soft. The meat has tenderized and I plated it on plates. I'm moving Hunter's computer. I'm not gonna show you Hunter's plate because I kind of spilled it a little bit, but I'll show you my plate. I topped it off, Ellie said to top it off with some feta cheese.
There's the spill.
Hunter, you're spilling on my plate. Crazy fool, maniac. She said to serve with a rustic bread. We are in a pandemic, Ellie. I do not have rustic bread, but normally you would. So I'm excited to sit down and eat this. You guys, it's so delicious. I had a little taste of it before. My mouth is watering. A nice fine wine and
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Thank you, Ellie, for sending us this recipe and yum yum. See you guys next time. Bye.